Hey.
Hey, welcome to the KC Stars, where we talk to people about the Kansas City film industry.
Perfect.
And Davis DeRock, I've met you in Kansas City, so I know you at least are a part of the Kansas City film industry. I've actually seen a couple of your movies as well.
Mm.
I really enjoyed, what was the name of it? It was filmed in St. Joe, Under the Fold,
Oh, below the fold.
Below the Fold, Below the
Yes.
Fold.
Yes.
You did a wonderful job on that, by the
Thank
way.
you, man. Yeah,
Wonderful job.
I love that film. That's I don't know. That one that one I feel like has like allowed me to kind of I don't know, step outside the box of what I normally play because it's a lot more I don't know. I do a lot of I feel like almost extreme like wild characters or comedic characters a lot and stuff like that. And that was one of the films that kind of allowed me to be a little more low key, a little more grounded. And so I really appreciate kind of how that movie itself came together.
That's funny. I prefer to play non-low key characters. So tell us about yourself.
Where you start at the beginning?
Sure, start at the beginning. I was
I was
born a poor
born in
man.
Renton, Washington. No, I got into acting and filmmaking in high school. I used to do well, I still do martial arts, but at the time I was doing karate, and my father got a video camera to film my tournaments, and I would take the camera with a buddy of mine, and we would like hang out in our basement and just like film little skits and sketches and stuff like that. And I just kind of, I don't know, I had fun kind of doing that. I was like, one time we did like this little Indiana Jones sketch, and my brain was like, "Oh, hey man, if we put the camera over here, we can do this." And I was like, and it actually kind of looks like what we would watch on TV. I was like, it kind of looks like a real movie. I was like, why don't we like, I don't know, make something. So we actually did. We made a little Indiana Jones fan film. Um, and it was he was playing like all the villains, and I was playing Indiana Jones and stuff, and we went into like his backyard. He had this big backyard with a lot of wilderness and stuff like that, and we just kind of like were like exploring. We'd set the camera up here behind a tree, stuff like that. And we had to do in-camera editing at the time, so I didn't know about, Adobe had just come out, like I want to say pretty recently, either right around that time or a little bit after that. But we had no idea. So we were literally, if we messed up a take, we'd have to rewind it, you know what I mean, and reshoot the take and whatever. And then like it was all on a, little tape.
Wow.
Um,
I just
but
have a
when we,
question, just out
yeah,
of
yeah.
curiosity. Could you move the order of things, or did you had to do it in the exact sequence?
No, we had to do it linear. It was all linear. And so that guy, it makes me sound so old, but, but yeah, I mean, it's all, if sometimes when we would try to make a movie, I'm a tangent here, but like when we would think of an idea, if we couldn't shoot the scenes linear, it just didn't happen. We just didn't make it because we were like, well, we don't know, you know what I mean? We have to wait till we can get everything together to like shoot it in order, basically.
Wow.
But yeah, we finished this movie, this Indiana Jones film, and we hooked the camera up to our TV and stuff, and we watched it. And I showed my parents and my grandmother and stuff, and her reaction, my grandmother's reaction was just like awe. Like she was like, "Oh my God, this is like a movie star kind of thing." And I don't know, it just really hit me pretty hard the way she reacted. And I was like, I kind of want to do this. Like I was like, I think I want to do more of this. And at one point, we showed some friends of ours, and they were like, "Hey, you should try out for the play," and at school. And I was like, "All right." And I got the lead in a couple things, and I was like, "Yeah, I think this is kind of the path I want to go down." Um, Big mistake. No, I'm just kidding. No, no.
Please,
Zero.
kids, if you don't learn anything.
Yeah, zero security. No, yeah. That honestly is why I tell people, I'm like, hey, if there's anything else you want to do, please go do that. Go do that. No, but it was one of those things where I was like, all right, I wanted to go to KU with my friends who also were into film and stuff like that, and I didn't end up getting a chance to go there, and so I got this pamphlet for an acting school in Los Angeles, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, and I was like, well, I mean, this is what I want to do, and it's in LA, and I was like, so why not? My parents were really supportive and drove me to Chicago for the audition, and I ended up getting a little bit of a scholarship through it, and uh, went there and went to at the time it was a 2-year conservatory, so you couldn't get a degree, which is, I would have preferred to get a degree, but yeah, they didn't offer it at the time. And their other school started in New York. And so I could either have gone to New York or LA, and I figured, well, film's LA, and that's what I really want to do. So that's kind of why I decided to make that choice instead. And then I stayed out in LA for a little while after I graduated, and my car broke down on me, and so Uber didn't exist. I couldn't really get around, and I was like, well, I still want to do this, but I think I'm gonna have to go home and like, make some money or something like that if I want to come back out here. And because I was doing a lot of extra work and working on different TV shows and stuff like that, but I just wasn't able to like get to the studios because taxi cabs were incredibly expensive, and I was, 19, 20 at the time, and I wasn't making a hell of a lot of money when I was serving. Um, and then, the bus was fairly reliable. It just didn't really, go to the places you really needed it to go. So it's like it was just being out in LA without a car was nearly impossible if you wanted to do, film or acting or anything, because you had to be somewhere so early, or you had to be somewhere at specific times. So I was like, well, I'm gonna come back home, and I'll just like keep making movies with my buddies and stuff like that. And I would go up to Lawrence a lot and work on different little short films, and we keep creating. And eventually I was just like, well, I'm just gonna stay here. Like we're already, doing what I want to be doing, So really, that was kind of all she wrote. I've just been kind of making movies and everything ever since. And now I currently live in Savannah and Kansas City, for a lot of different reasons. But at the time, my partner moved here for a job at SCAD, which is the art school here in Savannah. It's a very popular one. And there was a lot of work going on here. And now after the strike and everything, it's just like it's all dried up. And so I'm getting most of my work, honestly, in Kansas City. And that's why I've been, traveling back there and pretty much making KC almost my permanent address again, for, that reason. And then I also have a partner and a stepkid that lived there. So it's been, I do a lot of traveling back and forth. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of a lot.
Yeah, that sounds very complicated.
Yeah. So
Um,
there's the beginning to now.
yeah. It starts out less complicated, but yeah,
Uh,
it got more complicated as life went
yeah,
on.
it started out a little more of a dream, and now it's a little more of a, oh, okay.
So, what project you were just in Kansas City? What was the project you were working on?
So I was working on a few
Unless you
different
can't say.
things. I mean, it's kind of unknown at this point, but yeah, I was working on the TV show that I'll just call it the TV show. How about that? Just in case. Uh, yeah, I was stunt coordinating for that. I worked about 7 days on that. There's a lot of different driving stuff that the main character needed to be driving through Kansas City and stuff like that, and he was doing free driving, so we basically had to make sure we could lock down roads and things like that and make sure it was safe. And so as we were going through, we'd been talking to the KC police, and having them shut down roads as we're passing through. So I'd be on a walkie or something and be like, all right, we need to close off 13th, 14th, coming up to a bend, let's make sure it's clear, all that kind of stuff. So just kind of making sure that as we're rolling through, we've just got like blockades going on and stuff. And it was kind of, I felt like I had a lot of power.
That's good. That's good. I pictured stunt coordinator. I was picturing something very different
Yeah.
than coordinating driving. I guess how long have you been doing the stunt coordinating?
So that's the funny thing is, I've been doing like fight scenes and stunt coordination and choreography technically since I was in high school, because that's what I started. The kind of films that I was making were like little fight scene action movies, Indiana Jones stuff like that. So I was already kind of like coordinating all this kind of like fight stuff, and I had like continued it on just through filmmaking and whatever. So just like sometimes people in their short films knew that I would do fight choreography, so they would bring me onto their shorts to like do some of that. I would do it a lot in mine, and I kind of took a little bit of a back seat to that for a while, excuse me, until about 2021, 22-ish. And I got reached out to by a friend who was shooting a film in St. Louis, and we met him. Chad Crenshaw, my film partner, and I went to dances with films with our film Shift. and we met a director out there, and he was shooting. His name's Craig Goulet. He was shooting a film called Straight On Till Morning in St. Louis, and he was like, "Hey, do you guys want to help work on this or produce it or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And he was like, "Yeah, and you mentioned you do fight coordination and stuff like that." He's like, "Would you like to come on to this and do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could do that." And so I was like, where are the stunts that you're looking at basically? And it was kind of like a couple fight scenes, and then we had like a scene where a girl's like swinging from an attic into a second floor balcony. And I had just heard about at the time a stunt team in KC that were kind of up and coming, and for the longest time we didn't have any stunt people. Like it was like it really bummed me out actually because I wanted to do more action stuff, and there was just like no one who was really doing it. And so when I heard about these people, I was like, oh, hell yeah. And it's the company that I continually work with all the time. Like they're my go-to hires, and they hire me, and we work together a lot. And I'm kind of, I wouldn't say like they're basically my team, but I'm still kind of a little more on the outside of that just because of my location and everything. But I hired them to come do some wire pulls and stuff like that. And essentially, as a stunt coordinator, what I'm doing is making sure that everything's safe. You know what I mean? Like, here, if someone's like, hey, we need to do this thing, I'm the person who goes, okay, we can make that happen. And this is how we're going to make that happen. And I'm going to find the people that do that job, right? So, like, for instance, I need someone to rig a wire pole, in the trees. I go, here's where we can do this. Like, here's how we can make that happen. And now I'm going to get the rigger who does all the actual wire rigging and everything like that. We're going to make sure it's safe, how the trees are, everything around the environment, all of that. And then, from there, then we find the stunt person that we're going to do the actual pole with, or something like that. So it's my job to A, make sure it's safe, B, make sure I'm coordinating the right people who can do the job kind of thing. And
What's
sometimes I have to do the job. So
oh
sometimes
yeah, yeah.
my job is doing the job.
Have you ever like you're personally yourself like jumped out of a window or been set on fire?
Not out of a window, but I've done a lot of wire pulls.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done a lot of wire pulls. I've done like wrecks and stuff, which is considered like someone falling on the ground, stuff like that in a special way. I've done those things. I've obviously been in a lot of like fight scenes and whatnot. So, but yeah.
Very good. What's been the biggest difference when you're doing a fight scene versus sparring? What would you consider the biggest difference if you were the one performing?
Well, with sparring, you're making contact. With the fight scene, you're hopefully not. That's kind of a big thing. Honestly, I think a lot of people don't consider when they go. I've dealt with this a few times in the last few years, but being brought onto a set and someone going, "Oh, well, we don't need a stunt coordinator because they're not making contact," and I'm like, "Yeah, they shouldn't be making contact no matter what." That's kind of like the idea is that it's like, yeah, no, you're not bringing me on to show someone how to hit someone in the face. You're bringing me on to make sure that their movements can, be stacked on a camera and that they're doing the right movement so that there's about this much space between me and the fist, or something like that. Like I'm making sure that they know how to do it. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of actors that go, oh, I've done fight stuff, whatever. And then like you hit, say action and punch a guy in the face and you're like, like, yeah, okay. But the whole point is that you're doing it safely. You know what I mean? It's not the West anymore. We don't have to actually get hurt, to do what we're doing. And again, that doesn't mean that there aren't people making contact and there aren't points to make contact. But again, it's all about making sure that the contact is safe, the contact is intentional. What we're doing looks good on the camera, and that's kind of like my job is to show what can look good on the camera while also maintaining that distance and that safety and everything.
Well, you're very interesting, Davis. I viewed you as an actor, and when I asked, and you said stunt coordinator, I thought, what does he mean by this? Because he's an actor.
hmm I am like a jack of all trades, man. I think that's the thing is I've a master of maybe like two of them. I don't know, but no, I feel like that's the thing is I've had to learn almost every element of filmmaking just because of how I started. I never, aside from acting, I never went to school for filmmaking. I learned it by doing. In fact, the one process I probably am just schlock at is like cinematography. Like in my visually, I know what looks good, but I'm like, you start talking about cameras and you might as well be talking to your grandpa. I don't know. Like people are talking about this and that and that. Now that doesn't mean that like when I'm getting into directing and stuff, I'm not trying to be aware of everything and you know what I mean? But like at the same point, do not hire me for cinematography. That'd be the biggest nightmare, you know what I mean, to deal with because that is just not my field. But I've had to learn editing. I've had to learn acting. Obviously, I wanted to learn acting because that is the thing I do the most. But directing because I want to make my own movies. Writing, I need a movie to direct, so I have to write a movie. You know, the stunt coordination again, I've been doing for myself and other people, but that has now kind of been a thing that people went, hey, he did a good job on our film. We like working with him. He keeps us safe. Let's keep hiring him. And that's kind of how I've come to work the way I do. But you know, it wasn't the first thing I tried to do. But it's just like I've had to learn so many different avenues of this career path because there's just no right way to make it, and there's no perfect way to do it. And I feel like the most you can learn from it, then you are always a step up because then if you have to and you want to make something and no one's hiring you, you can go make it. You know what I mean? And I
Have,
think that's an important thing.
have you ever worked with people that you feel like even though you're not a camera guy, you're
Mhm.
not this, and you have farly more, whatever that means. That's hillbilly talk. No, you have a tremendous
What you
amount of
talking about there
experience.
over there?
Tremendous amount of experience. I'm from the Missouri side. It's just, but you have a tremendous amount of experience. And, even with my experience, and I've been in like over 60 projects, but not all of them lead or, like I view you as
No,
somebody who's
man,
had a
I
lot
would have trusted you a little more if you said 61. 60, I don't know.
of,
I don't know if that's enough.
but I've been out with people because I've been with like, I really, this was not great. I try not to be with first time directors.
Yeah.
I have done it before, but I was out with someone before and like almost like you can guess, like you have the 180 rule, like we know the basics, 180 rule, and they're going to film one here, maybe three takes each or something, and then one with both of us together or whatever, like generally. And I've been out with people and they like just do the both of us together, or they just do the two and not the establishing shot or whatever. And it's just, it's kind of painful because then I know it's not going to turn out well. But I don't know. Like, have you dealt with stuff like that before?
Oh, all the time. All the
Yeah.
time.
How do
I
you
think
handle it?
I think, man, it's hard. I've tried to learn my no's, you know what I mean? Like I've tried to become a little better because I don't like to say no mostly because I just love to act. I love to make things. And honestly, I love to help people make stuff and I feel like if I know what I'm doing, then they hired the right person, you know what I mean, at that time and I go and if I can elevate a project, then I would love to do that. Like, but sometimes I do have to go, hey, not I don't want to sound like arrogant, but like at the same time I go, hey, I know what my time's worth. And sometimes because if I go like I know this project's not gonna go anywhere, then I just took that time away from my kid. I just took that time away from my partners. I just took that time away from me, doing the things that I need to do and I've been trying to do for like years and years and years. So I do have to like go, what is my time worth? You know what I mean? And to me, sometimes that's just literally a relationship where I go, you know what, the movie might not be great, but they're great and they're gonna get better. And if I have a good time on a set, then I feel like that's a win. So sometimes I try to look at that way as like what are the three R's, real, relationship, there's a third one. Money. That's not on there.
Arithmetic.
Yeah. Yeah. The two R's and an M.
No, that's
No,
good.
but essentially that's it. It's like how much money, if is it going to be worth the money? Is it going to be worth the real? You need it for your real. Is it going to be worth the relationship? And I love that. That's why I can't do like any kind of like life coaching. You know what I mean? They'd be like, "What do you need?" And I'd be like, I had a word for that."
Well, there's three things you need to do.
There's three things you need to do: money, relationship.
Oh, I remember. That's so great.
Uh,
There is a joke, an old joke where it says, just like what you did, but you weren't joking. Where they say the three most important things in life. One, make sure you know what your goal is. Two, never let them know everything you're thinking and let them know everything you know. Oh, no, it's like that, something like
or
that.
the it's like my dad always says.
Yeah, that's right. Um,
But I'm going to touch back on that. The things that I do notice that kind of drive me crazy is when a director only looks to me for how they want the character to be or something. For instance, I'm working on a set and I'm like, hey, do you think like the actor like their objective would be this, or do you think like they're thinking about, this is what's happening, maybe this is their reaction to that or whatever, and the director goes, well, I don't know, what do you think? And I go, no, that's not why I'm asking. If I wanted to use what I think, I wouldn't be talking to you. I would just do
mhm.
what I thought. So sometimes I go, no, I want the collaboration. I want you to tell me what you think is happening so that I can work with that and around that. But if it's always like, I don't know, what do you think? I'm like, well, then you're the leader. You're the one who should be directing me, because if I give you a take, I'm not going to know if I did not I say good job, but I'm not going to know if I gave you what you wanted. And I like to feel like not only am I giving myself what I wanted, but I've also given the director what they want. And I've gotten a lot better when I feel like I didn't do a good job. Not to say, some actors, we get in our heads and we're like, oh, I want to do that again. I want to do that again. But there is a time and a place for that. And my brain goes, if I feel like I can do that better for both of us and we're both going to benefit from an extra take, or me going, hey, actually, I really want to get this. Can I have a few seconds? Can I work on this? Can I do this? Can I do that again? I don't feel like that's a waste of time, because to me, at the end of the day, if I'm giving 100% of something and I can, or giving 70% of something, and then I go, I can give an extra 30, then I go, that's benefiting everyone. Everyone's going to work, be happy with that.
No, that's great. That's great. What's the hardest thing on set to do?
Like as a position or just in
Oh
general?
no, like for you, what's the hardest thing on set? Okay, I'm going to give you an example.
Hmm.
I would say the hardest thing to do is I filmed something where we did green screens, or where one character couldn't be there, so someone else stood there. It looks like they're there, but they're not there because they're filming over his shoulder, but it's not their shoulder, and I'm having a dialogue, but there's not. It's like it doesn't turn out as well.
Hmm.
And it's really hard for me on a green screen talking to someone who's not like that's hard.
Yeah.
What's hard for you? What do you think? Like, this is the hardest thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. That's probably one of the harder things. If you have to give 100, and again, I guess that makes us actors, right? But at a certain point, it's like you want your project to be the best, so why not be able to work off of something? And I think two things. A, I don't like not having rehearsals, or at least a read through of something before something happens. I don't like getting to set and they're like, all right, let's go. And you're like, all right, I have zero of the energy of what this scene is right now inside of me. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's different. Like you show up to commercials and you kind of have to do that. You have to be just like ready to go. But sometimes with film, because I feel like it's a little more characterly involved and a little more personal, I want that time to like really envelop in that. And so if I show up to set and they're just ready to go, I'm like, my brain's not here yet because I just got out of my car. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's so many things that are Davis that have just happened that I need now to like get into here. And sometimes that happens when I'm working with someone, or and if the part's just me alone working around the house, then I'm kind of like, okay, let me take the time to like walk through this space that I'm in if I have to be alone in it or whatever. And I don't always get that time, and I think that happens a lot with low budget short film, feature film, just anything low budget. Really, there's not a lot of time. And so, and honestly, with high budget stuff, I'm finding out that there's not a lot. I'm actually finding that high budget and low budget don't fucking matter. Nobody wants to give you time. And that's the thing that I think these movies and these stories need. Nobody wants to give you time for rehearsals, for stunts specifically too. Going back to that a little, I get no rehearsals with stunts half the time. Like and these are not small things sometimes. They're literally wire pulls, where I go, hey, we need to like run through this a few times, or a fight scene or something like that. And I'm literally teaching the actor right before we shoot. And I'm like, we should have been able to do this days ago, weeks ago. I should have had at least 2 to 3 of these things. When this actor gets to set, they know exactly what movement they're doing. But I don't always get that. And as an actor, I don't get those rehearsals with my other actors sometimes, or myself. So that to me is the really hard thing, is just taking myself out of a space and bringing it into a new space like that. Like I can't always do that. I just worked with Josh Leonard on his new film, which I think is really good. And I took a lot of time with that one to really say to myself, like, hey, if I don't like what I'm doing, I'm going to ask for another. Like, I want to feel good about what I'm doing, because it's that kind of important story where it's a very sensitive story. And so I go, with something sensitive, I don't want to misrepresent, and I don't want to miss the mark. So specifically on that one, I was like, I really like, I want to be able to have this other actor in front of me when I'm doing this thing. And there was a moment where it had to get pretty emotional. And I was like, hey, do you mind if you just like stare into my eyes for a few minutes? And I put my headphones in, picked a song that I really, really like feel emotional to. And we just stared at each other. And it was just like kind of a really nice, intimate moment with my acting partner. And we just kind of got to be in it, even though they weren't like necessarily doing anything for the camera on their side. They got to like help me do it, because again, it benefits everybody, and they got to help me. And I think that was really important to them. And then they went, hey, do you mind if we reshoot a shot? Because I was having to get my makeup taken off and everything. So I wasn't actually able to act with them in a very important shot. Not that I didn't want to, I just wasn't able to. And I said, absolutely. And I basically looked at Josh. I was like, hey, I want to do this. We want to do this because they need me in front of them to do this. And that's important to me, for them to feel like they got what they needed too. And we did. We reshot, it was a quick setup, and we reshot it, and it was 1,000 times better. And it's like that importance. There are some actors that are like, as soon as they're done with their scene, bring in the stand in, they'll go over here, and then the other person acts. And I'm like, that's great. That's great if you can do that and you like that. But I do appreciate the actors that go, hey, if you need my energy, because that's the energy you're acting off of, and that's the energy of the scene, I'm going to be there because I'm already being paid to be there, or I've already signed up to be there. And I want to be.
Just a statement. You're a good person, Davis. You're a good person. And,
I don't know about that, but
no, I think you're a good person. I mean, I've met you a couple times. I think you're a good guy. I think that's one, it's considerate to the other person. And then also from a selfish perspective, you produce a better product when you have those elements together. Like, it's both. It's being considerate to the other person, but it's also having you there is going to make her scene better, which is going to make the production better.
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole point of film. It's all collaborative, right? There's no one better person than the other when you're trying to make something that is a group effort. Like, it's not stand-up comedy. You're not up there, which I do that too. And you're up there by yourself, and you go, I'm solely relying on me. This is the only person. And I really don't like it. It actually is kind of a pet peeve of mine for that industry, for people that like get mad at the audience for not laughing. I go, dude, if you're not doing your job, they're not going to laugh. You know what I mean? And sometimes it is a thing where you can tell three times the same joke in different settings, and you'll get 3 different reactions from different people, because it just happens. That happens with art in general. That happens with everything. Everything is subjective. But if you're going to like, that's the one job I go, that's you. You're the one who goes up with your energy. You're the one who goes up with your jokes. This is collaborative. This is not one person can do less than the other, really.
Wow. And you've done a lot of projects, and as well as you're a stand-up comedian. I guess I
Uh,
vaguely remember these posts from years ago, but
it's
I had
been a minute.
forgotten. Tell me about your stand-up
Yeah.
comedy.
Well, I mean, I've done comedy most of my life. Like, again, I was doing a lot of sketch comedy when I was in high school. Some of the fight scenes I made were like all comedy, but it was fights too. But I've loved like doing comedy most of my life. And then in 2019, stand up is the only art form I hadn't like actually done in that. Like, I'd done on stage comedy, like improv, stuff like that. And stand up, I was like, I haven't done that, but I've always wanted to. But I just have such an anxiety. I have social anxiety. I have like major failure anxiety. I have huge, what do they call it? Imposter syndrome, like that. I deal with that shit all the time. And so my brain was like, I can't get up on the fucking stage and, just open myself up to look like an idiot. Like, I was like, I can't do that. And then I watched this show Crashing with Pete Holmes. And it's about him getting into stand up, and I loved it. Like I was like, why am I not doing this? Like I was like, not that this like this is easy. I was just like, why am I not taking the risk if I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to love it? And so I did, and I really really loved it. I feel like I was always connecting to somebody. It might not have been getting laughs across the board, but I was always connecting to someone on stage, and to me I was like, there was just something about that experience. And I already love being bringing people joy and making them laugh and stuff. It's probably one of my favorite things to do is like make people laugh. And so on set I do carry that energy into my sets like that I work on, like films and stuff. Like I'm, I care, like, to me I go, if we're making a serious movie and you need like a moment to like get in it or whatever, that's fine, tell me. But like I'm telling you, I'm going to be cracking jokes no matter what the movie is about. Like that's just, I'm just going to be doing that. So
You're
it's
not
like,
method.
yeah, because well, no, I'm not. I don't give a shit, man. I like, to me, I go like, if you're gonna, if you have a process, stick to your process and just make sure I'm aware of it. But I'm gonna stick to my process, and that's just enjoying my time. You know what I mean? So that's the way I view it. Is like I'm not gonna come to a set that's cold and not be the guy who's probably cracking jokes or whatever. If you want to stay cold, that's on you. But your coldness doesn't need to infect me. But yeah, I got into stand up, and I love doing it. And the industry itself, it's just like I just kind of fell out of it because I got busy doing stuff, and I just haven't been able to do it for a couple of years. But I want to get back into it at some point. It's just sometimes hard to jump back into another avenue of something when you've kind of like taken that time off. But I would love to do it again. I do really really enjoy like that art form.
You brought up your process. What is your process preparing for a role?
Um, it on it's just gonna sound, I don't want to sound lazy, but it really just depends on like the amount of effort of the script. Weirdly enough, like I can read a script and go, oh, you just wrote this because you had an idea about a scene. You know what I mean? And you wrote this movie based around this scene, or you went, oh, wouldn't it be weird if, and then you wrote a movie. And I go, I can read in these scripts when these characters matter. You know what I mean? And when you wrote a movie that is like, oh no, these characters matter, and then everything happening around them is like, yeah, that's a thing. But when you write a movie based on like, oh, I've got this weird idea of what if this killer did this thing, and I go, okay, but like, what's the character, right? What's the, so when I read a script, I go, okay, how important are these characters? And if I can tell that the writer didn't really spend a lot of time making the characters important, I will do that work for myself. But I don't want to say I do less work, you know what I mean? But I guess I don't go, I'm going to envelop my entireness into this process. Like I don't do that, because I go, well, I'm gonna match that energy, I guess. And again, I will always try to elevate a project. I don't want to be like, oh, the movie was lackluster and so was that actor. You know what I mean? Like if a movie's going to be lackluster, I honestly want to be the best part of it. You know what I mean? Or again, not to say like I need to be the best, but I want to make sure my work is good. And so I'm going to do the right amount of work. But when I can read a character that I know someone spent time on, and I go, oh, okay, I need to spend this time on this. Like, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page with how this character goes. Below the Fold, you talked about earlier, and that is actually a movie we had a lot of rehearsals on before the process. And we went through and through and through it on that character because it was important to the director. And I go, if that's important to the director, it's important to me. If a character is not important to the director or the writer, then I'll make it important to me, but I'm probably not going to spend like the amount of time, you know what I mean, that I would unless it was important to everybody. So I guess
When
like my
when you
process.
yeah,
Go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. When you say spend a lot of time, tell me
Mhm.
what that would mean like for below the fold.
That would mean literally talking about character intentions, breaking down like objectives. Okay, we've got this scene where David's talking to his long lost friend, essentially. This woman who's now working for the same company he's working for. They haven't seen each other or spoken in years. There might have been a little bit of a relationship thing, whatever. But really figuring out, hey, what are his intentions with her working there? Does he want her working there? Is this something that, like, now that she's working there, he wants to do his job, but he's worried he might fall back in love with her, or he might go like, I don't want anything. Like finding really, really diving into the intentions of like what these characters want with each other and how they affect each other. And then taking some of that and I create my own stuff that I don't tell anyone. I go, I'm going to create my own objectives, and my acting partners has no idea what that objective is. You know what I mean? Sometimes like I go off the like deep end, like I'll have a character that is like incredibly nice, like super, super nice guy. All right. So I know you talked to Val Bates, you've had
Yeah,
her on.
yeah, yeah. Valerie
So
Bates.
Finding Joy, my character in that movie, super nice guy, kind of the romantic interest, takes care of her. And my whole process was I'm a serial killer. Like that's literally my brain was like that because I was just like there's just something I don't know what it is, but like the second I got this character, I was like, there's something off about him. And we don't know what that is. And maybe it's not like maybe he's a Dexter, right? Maybe he's not a villain serial killer, but he's definitely, there's something there, right? And I was like, and so that's weirdly enough what I put in my head every time I was playing that character was here's an objective I have that they don't know about. You know what I mean? And we did talk about it later, but that was the thing for me. I was like, it just made me that more like there's something going on with this guy, right? And to me, I go, it's more interesting to watch interesting characters than it is to kind of like watch an interesting story. Like I would rather watch interesting characters operate in a normal world than I would rather watch normal characters be in a crazy world, or something like that. I mean, but they both work both ways. But for me personally, a movie that I really I haven't seen it in a long time, but I really, really enjoyed when I watched it was called The Drop with Tom Hardy. And it's about this guy who's kind of an errand boy for the mob, and he literally just makes drops of money to like certain areas. But you can tell there's just so much going on in his head that you want to know about. And the movie itself is just kind of whatever. It's just kind of, I don't want to say boring, but it's just a very here to here movie. But him, like whatever he's doing in his head, I was like, I could watch him literally make dinner, and I would be like, something interesting is happening right now because of how he handles that. So I kind of I've tried to do that process most of my career, of just like, I don't care what I'm doing, but there's going to be something going on here that the audience is going to be like, what is that? I don't know why, but I want to watch him just do whatever because there's something going on up here. And that's kind of my process, honestly, is like whatever's happening in the story, I've got whatever else happening up here. And that's what allows me to like move through this scene.
That is absolutely outstanding and will make an excellent clip as well. No, I really do. That's outstanding. I love going beyond the objectives and the purpose of the scene and all that. You kind of went the next step, which is kind of like your secret objective, which is going to make you come across more realistic. I really
Yeah.
like that.
Again, the objective doesn't have to be what the story's about, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't. It just it's what's going to get this character to here, really.
I
You know what I
like
mean?
it. And I'm not trying to change topics for any reason except I think these will be interesting to get your opinion on. Hey,
Sure.
what is this?
Devil's Food Cake?
Devil's Food Cake. Tell me about
Yeah,
that.
that's a film by Andrew Pritzker.
What's it about?
So it is about a traveling salesman who comes across. He stops at this diner where Sarah McGuire's character works, and he's kind of you can tell he's trying to get from point A to point B kind of thing. But you can tell that he has these ulterior motives, and you just don't really know what they are. Again,
He's
so
a
actually,
serial killer. I got it.
no. But like that's the thing is like that I did actually really really love that character specifically because again I got to play with it a lot. Like I got to go, oh, I've got these objectives I can add in my head and and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to just be this like, oh, I'm just trying to date this girl or something like that or whatever. But like that film in general, it's just an eerie movie where you kind of don't know who's who's good. You know what I mean? You're not exactly sure who is in the right path. And I think the characters themselves were really fun to play with. And the thing I love about Andrew is he's actually someone who like really knows what he wants. So I never have to question like if he's going to be able to like help point me in the direction that I need to go as an actor for a certain character or anything. Like he's working with him. He always is very apparent on like, hey, this is what I want from the scene, or this is like what I feel like you're trying to get. And now I can add something and be like, hey, does it is can I see this character going from here to here, even if like he's wanting this? Like, can is this something I can add? And he's pretty collaborative on a lot of that. Or if he has his own idea of like, well, this is really what I want the audience to see, so no. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that's good though.
yeah, it's like there is a lot of collaboration there, but there's also I think a lot of him just knowing what he wants, and I appreciate that. Oh, so that's from my buddies and I when oh God, how old was I? I was probably like 20 years old, I think, when we did that. That was from Dragon Ball Z. We did so talking about green screen, we did this whole green screen shoot, and I was playing Goku from Dragon Ball Z. And so we were doing my hair and putting it all spiky and everything in the back. Oh, and that glue, dude, I'm telling you, that was like that really strong glue gel. And when my friend Jen, who was doing our makeup at the time, was like taking a comb through my head, it felt like she was like scalping me. It was
Wow.
the most awful feeling I think I've ever had getting my hair done. But yeah, I thought I was gonna have like zero hair by the time she got done with that. And yeah, it was a lot of fun though. We had a really great time. I'm definitely
Good.
wasn't at the time, still not, but I was definitely not bulky for that character. But it was a lot of fun.
That's good. Oh, trying to get rid of it here. Oh, got rid of the wrong one.
Nope.
There we go. There's two fine fellas right there, looks like.
Yeah, so that was from our '70s years, man, when we had a band together and no, we no, that is we were wearing my partner's wigs and we were doing like a Tommy Wiseau sketch who did The Room. You ever seen The Room?
No, I have not. No.
Oh my God, you're in for a treat. Okay, so if you want a chance to see it, it's actually playing at the Screenland Armor on the 17th
Oh,
of
wow.
September, and it's fun. So The Room is basically a cult classic movie of just it's just one of the worst movies ever made. And it got popular because the guy thought he was making a really good movie, and when he showed it, like screened it and everything, it was getting laughs and everything. This movie was touted as a drama, 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 and then it started getting all these laughs. So he kind of rebranded it as like a comedy, and kind of thing. But it was so popular for being so bad.
What's it
Um,
called again?
The Room.
The Room.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tommy Wiseau, and the one of the main actors in that movie now goes around the country doing screenings of it because it's so popular that people have like they'll quote along and everything, and it gets rambunctious, but it's so much fun. Oh, that's me, and my partner Shauna doing a stage reading of Speed
Okay.
because I always do a Keanu Reeves impression, and so that was we were like, hey, can we do a stage reading where I'm Keanu Reeves?
It's good. And by the way, I saw lots of Batman stuff.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
What's
yeah.
this?
Batman's my jam, man. Batman's like the first movie I really remember like loving.
That's very cool.
Um, yeah, and I used to sit in front of the TV with a little plastic bat cape and a mask when the old Adam West show was on and stuff,
That's
and I would
awesome.
just watch the hell out of it. I think for about a good year, I don't think I responded to any name other than Batman or Bruce Wayne
That's
when
funny.
I was like
That's
2 years
funny.
old, 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah,
Uh,
you
but
liked
yeah,
it so much.
Batman's my jam. I mean, you can see right in the corner right there, I got a little Batman stand back there and stuff. I
Oh,
got like
very
all sorts of
cool.
Batman directions. Like, I don't know. I did just shoot or direct, write, and act in a Batman fan film that I'm still editing. It's almost done, but it just needs some visual effects and stuff. It's a goofy little stupid Batman movie, but it'll be a lot of fun, I think. And got some of my stunt team on it, so we got some wire work in it and stuff
Were you
like
in a
that.
Batman movie like a year ago, like a fan film Batman
That's the
thing?
one. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the one.
I saw one. But that one I guess I wouldn't have seen. Maybe I just saw clips or pictures
It was
of it.
probably the trailer. I did
Yeah,
release a
okay.
trailer a year ago. Yeah, just because I was like, this is gonna take a minute, and it's taking a little longer, and I wanted to, so I was like, I want to show something. But yeah, I worked with Jason Turner on that one. He lensed it and helped produce it, and Tim Hint-Sala does a lot of like costuming and armory and stuff like that, and he created the suit for me, and it's like literally made for me, which
Wow.
I love because to me, I go like that's the one thing about doing like anything Batman, is like you're always wearing someone else's suit, kind of like if I get a Robert Pattinson version, it's still going to be Robert Pattinson's suit on me, or Michael
Sure.
Keaton, or whatever, they're going to be on me. But like this suit was made for me. And so it's like my suit. And I don't know, that's really special to me. So I do a lot of Comic Cons with that and stuff like that. And I've done like kind of birthday parties and things.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's another thing I love. I love like I don't know. There's something about walking through like a Comic Con and like a little kid just being like, you know what I mean? And yeah, like you can just see the awe in their eyes, and they want to like come give you a hug and stuff, and it's like the sweetest thing in the world. But I don't know, that just brings me a lot of joy. I don't feel like we
Yeah,
have enough Batman in the real world.
that's right. That's right. There, I guess you grew up in the Kansas side. Are you from the Kansas part of Kansas City?
So I grew up in, oh, excuse me, I grew up in Wichita and the outskirts of Wichita. So Augusta, Kansas, Haverhill, if you're familiar with that at all. It's out in the country east of Wichita.
Okay.
But it's around, it's like kind of like around, there's like El Dorado, Andover, Augusta, me, where I went to school, Leon, Kansas. And it was like I went from Wichita, which was like, tons of kids, a lot of diversity, to like country where there's like none.
Yeah.
And ooh, this is like
Yeah.
a
Some people in the US grow up in a different world than other people. That is for
yeah,
sure.
that's like the one thing, I don't know. I feel like, again, that I think that was kind of a big part of like getting into film and stuff for me, was like watching people experience something that they hadn't, or being able to help people experiencing anything, like joy, like bringing people joy and stuff like that. And I think that's like, I don't know, culturally we're all so separated that people just don't want to like, I don't know, learn about
Oh.
others.
So you were from the Wichita area and you went straight to Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, did you go back to Wichita or then Kansas City?
So from Los Angeles, I went back to Wichita, but I would work in Kansas. Like when I say work, I would just make movies with friends and stuff for a while. I had a lot of like relationship things happen in between that kind of like set me on different paths. But eventually, when I got married, which I'm no longer married, but when I got married in 2012, I moved to Kansas City. So I was in Wichita, then Lawrence for a couple of years, and then from the in 2010 is when I moved to Lawrence, and then I moved to Kansas City in 2012. So I wasn't really like, I'd worked with a couple people from Kansas City, but I didn't really start working for like with people and for people until about 2012.
Wow. Well, you've made quite an impact. I mean, you've been here, what is it, like dozens of years now? I mean, how long? You said
I mean, it would have
2010.
been
So
2012 to 2025 essentially. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So 25 years, 23 years. And like I said, I've seen you in a lot of things. I know you're in multiple projects. You've probably been in hundreds of projects when you count them all. I mean, seeing you on TV, you like, I don't think you're a father, are you? You're not a father?
Stepdad.
Stepdad. Okay. But I saw you as a father racing another father on a
Oh, yeah, the
commercial, but
car.
I don't.
Dude, that thing has been playing for like 13 years now.
Yeah.
That's what's funny is like there's those projects, right? They're like in perpetuity, which I try not to take that work anymore. Like if someone's like, "Hey, it's not more than if it's more than like 2 to 3 year usage," I'm like, "No," because to me here's a big thing that kind of hits me on a level that I don't like, which is, "Oh, that guy's in everything." And that's why I don't get work sometimes. Like people have wanted to hire me or put me in a movie, but they don't, because you go, "Oh, Davis is in everything." And I go, "No, no, 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 no. You're referring to a commercial I did 10 years ago. You know what I mean? That is still playing," or something like that. And so like this idea, again, yeah, I've done a lot. I've worked on a lot, and I do a lot. But the idea that I am in everything has like now weirdly enough seeped into some people's minds as to a reason not to hire me. And I go,
Really?
yeah, like honestly, the last movie I was a lead in was Below the Fold. That was shot in 2017. A feature, I'll say, not short, but like feature film that I was a lead in was 2017. You know what I mean? That's almost 10 years.
Wow.
So I go, and if someone's going like, "Oh, I want Davis to be a lead in this," and then their brain goes, "Ah, but he's in everything." They're thinking like a commercial I did 10 years ago or whatever that's still playing, or that I'm in a
Wow.
commercial.
I
And I
wouldn't
go,
have thought of that. And I pretty much did view you exactly like what you're saying people think. I kind of view you as in everything. Well, because I saw the Batman pictures. I've seen you on more than that
Yeah.
commercial, but I remember that commercial they played for a while a lot. So
Yeah.
you were on TV. I don't even, what was like an electric commercial or something?
That one was, I want to say that was like a recite or not air quality. It was an air
Air
quality.
quality
Yeah.
commercial. And you were on that in Kansas City over and over for a while. I used to see you all the time on that. I don't
Yeah.
see it as much, but it was a regular thing. And I'm thinking, oh,
Right.
wow. Because this, me personally, I love going to plays where I know people. And I love when I see somebody on a commercial. Like Thomas Smith is on every commercial that you can watch in Kansas. I'm just kidding, but he is on a lot of them. There's more than him, but I'm thinking of him now.
Mhm.
'Cause I just had him on the show like 2 weeks ago or something.
Yeah.
But there's some people that are just in those. What's the other? Larry Goodry also. He's on a lot of commercials in Kansas City. So yeah, so there's people that are, and I view you were on commercials in Kansas City. I watched you in Below the Fold. I see your picture on Finding Joy.
Mhm.
Whenever those posts come out, like, so I view you as you're doing everything you can do in Kansas City.
Trying, man. And that's again, that's the thing is like some of that stuff is like, I don't know. It takes so long sometimes for like films to come out. You know what I mean? Because they're low budget and stuff like that. So like, and this happens with me. Like some of my movies take forever to come out, like the Batman thing or whatever. But sometimes it's like be making a movie in like 2017, and then it doesn't come out till 2021, and you go like in that time there's been posters, there's been mentions, there's been whatever, so people are going, man, Davis is in everything, and I'm like, no, I was in one movie and then it took 5 years for it to actually come out,
There were
you
posts
know.
every 3 months for the
Right.
last 5 years on
but
the
but
same
there's
movie. Yeah.
there's a weird stigma in, I don't, and I'm sure this happens all over, but it feels like specific to Kansas City, where you go, oh, this actor's doing a lot and they're popular. We're not going to put them in this. But then you think about like Matthew McConaughey or something, and people can't wait to get that guy in something or someone in, and you go, what's the difference? Why are we going, hey, this person's in a lot, let's get them in this, but this one's in a lot, let's not. You know what I mean? That idea, I go, that doesn't make any sense. And in fact, I feel like kind of hurts a little more.
I've
Like,
never heard that before. That absolutely, like to me, it's illogical.
right, you go,
Get
someone's kind of
someone that's
popular, don't you want them in your shit?
yeah, yeah. Then you have more people watching it, like, oh, it's
Yeah.
Davis DeRock.
Yeah. Now, to that, when I go to a film festival and I watch 5 movies with the same actor, I go, "Hey, did we not have any other actors in Kansas City? Did we? What happened here?" But most of the time, what happens is 5 people made a movie around the same time, and then they all got released. Or it was like, oh, again, a movie that was made this time, 2 years later, gets put in the movie that was made a few weeks ago that got edited quicker, and so that actor's in the same thing. You know what I mean? So sometimes that happens. But like anything, when you look at like Hollywood actors and you're like, wow, they're in fucking everything right now. Like that happens. You go, wow, that actor's in everything right now, and then all of a sudden they're not in anything. I think that kind of happens in Kansas City too, where people go, oh my god, I've never heard of Davis. He's great. Let's get him in this. And then someone else goes, hey, I just saw you in that. I want you in this. And then and just kind of does that. And then you're in a whole bunch of stuff. And then again, they're not in anything because you're like, all right, we got it. We got him. Now we're moving on to the next actor that was like, wow, they're really good. We got to get them in this. You know what I mean? I feel like there are all these pockets of actors in Kansas City that are all really good. But for some reason, there's always this focus on like one, you know, one human who happens to be doing well at that point, you
Hmm.
know, or you didn't see him and you went, oh, I got to get him in mine, you know, and that just kind of like it keeps kind of kick starting that process.
Well, I tell you, I saw something, and this is going to be the worst story that you've ever heard, because I don't know enough of the facts. But Matt Damon was in a war
Mhm.
movie, and it was the second big movie that came out.
Yeah, Saving Private
Saving
Ryan.
Private Ryan. Saving
Right.
Private Ryan. Yeah, Saving Private Ryan. But right before that, like 3 months before that, another movie came out that he was in where he had a huge role. The goal of the director when he put him in Saving Private Ryan was to have a guy who was a quality actor but not well known because Tom Hanks was, like
Yeah.
he didn't want like big stars. He wanted a big star and then the other people. And then Matt Damon got super popular like 3 or 4 months
Yeah.
earlier. And then the movie came out and it started being billed, Matt
The Matt
Damon.
Damon movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And And it's just funny because it took him too long to edit it because, that's what it was. It like you do a movie and then 2 years later it comes out. He's had a chance to do other things between then. So,
I guess that's kind of my my slogan right now is put me in your goddamn movies. No.
okay, this is not made for kids.
No, no.
No,
I guess I
YouTube,
should
you have
ask
to
that. What's the
classify.
maturity level here?
Yeah. Um, I was going to ask like Savannah, like, so you're living in Savannah, and I know they've had film incentives a lot longer than Missouri
Yeah.
there in Georgia. But I imagine Atlanta is the big hub. Is there still a hub in Savannah?
Not so much in Savannah right now, but there is still in Atlanta. And unfortunately, I think it's just a lot with everything going on in the country right now. I think a lot of stuff is just moving overseas. So unfortunately, I think we're going to see like a huge decline in film production across the country. And some of that might be little pockets like Kansas City right now is like getting a lot of stuff that it normally didn't get, and I think people are really, really trying to get on those incentives before things go completely to shit. But I think right now the hard thing is that it's just the political climate is so wild that I don't think people are wanting to make films here. And I
Sure.
think that we're going to see a huge like decline and hopefully eventually it'll incline again. But right now, like, yeah, Savannah's like dead. It's dead with like
Wow.
film industry.
So you're not doing anything like this month in Savannah while you're there.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm specifically here to visit my partner. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just have a few more questions for you. And this next one is very important. You lived in Kansas City for 20 something years, and before that, you visited Kansas City. If someone said, "I'm going to Kansas City, I'll be in the Northland, I'll be in Kansas, I'll be in Missouri, I'll be in Independence, whatever they say, I'll be over the whole area, but I'm only going to eat at one barbecue restaurant."
Mm.
What are you going to tell them to go to? Where are you going to tell them?
Oh man.
You can't do that answer, the cheat answer. I would tell them to go buy the meat at this place and then go get Gates Barbecue. No,
Right, 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 right.
one
Actually,
place,
that
one
would be
place.
that would be my chicken wings answer. Get Wingstop Ranch and go to the best wings place. No, I think I haven't had all the KC barbecue, unfortunately. And there's one I really want to try that I keep hearing about, or I've heard about forever, which is Slaps. I've never been there. I think my favorite well, used to be Q39. And that was just because the ribs were so good. Like they were so fall off the bone good. I think also because I have IBS, like that's you know what I mean. I
Oh,
have to
maybe
be
a
very
problem here.
careful.
Yeah.
Right, right. I have to be careful about where I eat. But I really, really enjoyed Joe's KC. I think in my top three, I'd say LC's, which
Yes. Yes. L
LC's
season slaps.
LC's is awesome. I loved Q39, not so much anymore. But I did when they opened up, they were so good. Joe's KC, and then I need to try Slaps. I haven't had that. My
Yeah.
least favorite, to be honest, is Arthur Bryant's.
Yeah. What's that about Arthur Bryant's?
It's my least favorite.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I usually say like, and I change my answer at times, but
Mm.
LC's is the best in Missouri, slaps is the best in Kansas.
Yeah, that would
That's
probably track.
generally what I say.
Yeah, I do not like Gates either, actually. I'm not a Gates fan.
I like Gates because the barbecue sauce is so good, and they do a burn-in sandwich. And basically, they just chop up the brisket and
Hmm.
put a bunch of barbecue sauce on it, put it on a sandwich bun. It is outstanding. I
Yeah.
love it. But a
Well,
lot of people
maybe
don't
I'll
like
give that
Gates.
a try.
But the barbecue sauce they like.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice to like a new actor? What would be your advice to them?
If there's anything else you want to do, go do
That's a
that.
horrible clip. That's a
No,
horrible
no, no, no.
clip.
No, it's an honest clip. I think that's the thing is I mean it. Like if acting is your passion and you can't see yourself doing anything else, then friggin' pursue the hell out of it. So I got this gnat. Like Savannah is awful with gnats, and I've got this one gnat that's been following me around for like 2 hours. But my thing is this: I can't see myself not doing this industry. I really can't. And maybe that just means I don't have skills anywhere else. No, but
I like it. I like it.
But no, I this has literally been the career I've pursued for over 20 years now, and it's where I feel the most at home, and I really do know I have a I don't know. I have something here that I know when people can utilize and I can utilize it, it becomes something special. And for me, if that's not something you're gonna have and it's not something you have already, then make it a hobby. You know, make it a hobby, not a career. You can do your other work and you can do all of that and then go, hey, I have a weekend off. I have a couple days off. Hey, I'm gonna take some time off and I'm gonna make something or I'm gonna get with people to make something or whatever. But like, unless you are just, this is a fire burning inside you, don't do it because it is so unsecure. Like it's the one job I can do for 20 plus years, and someone that starts tomorrow can be ahead of me. It's a wild career like that where you go, you have zero training, and yet you're the lead in this movie. I've been doing this for 22 years, and I can't get a fucking role. You know, like that happens to me all the time. So to me, and I don't like that jaded feeling. I don't like it, but I have been. I've been jaded because I've spent enough time watching how the industry works. And as an artist, I go, oh man, I love the art. I love what people put into it. But then I watch the business side and I go, you guys are snakes. And that's the part that makes it hard for me because it really is like work for the devil for a minute, you know? And that's what it feels like. And so to me, I go, the part that it's going to give you life in this career is the passion. And so to me, I go, if you're not passionate about it, make it a hobby, you know, but if you're passionate about it and you want to pursue it, pursue the hell out of it. But you have to be ready to love and hate it. Like you have to be ready for that, you know, especially as an actor, because you're gonna be opening yourself up to vulnerability. You have to be so emotionally vulnerable all the time to then get told no and denied all the time. A lot of us get to be denied with an armor. You know what I mean? We get to get denied with our armor and our walls built and the thing and our protection and our safety. An actor, you have to be vulnerable and be denied. And that's a really, really hard thing to deal with.
Wow. Well, in acting, which you've already said it's a struggle, but what are you the most proud of that you've done in acting?
When I walk off a set and the moods are higher than they were when I arrived on set, I feel like that's a win. And I feel like I got to contribute to that. Like if I get to contribute my energy and the energy is a lot better than I left it or than I arrived, you know what I mean? Then I go, I got to help make that happen.
So like
You know?
basically the mood of the people on set
Yeah.
becomes happier, everybody's more friendly, joking because you were there.
Yeah. I think that's more important to me. I think again, relationships are more important to me than anything. And I'll say like I almost sometimes I think am in filmmaking for the relationship, you know. Like the product is great and there's a time where I get to watch it and be proud of it and go, wow, I did that, you know. But at the end of the day, I think I like relationships and I think I like making people feel like what they did is worth it.
Do you like watching yourself on camera? Do you like watching
Um,
your films?
you know, I do. It's and it's
Yes.
I do because here's the thing. I get the concept of being like, oh, I can't watch myself, and I go, yeah, but what can you learn then? You know what I mean? To me, I go, if you don't watch yourself, how are you going to learn what not to do next time, or what to do next time, or what you know what I mean? Like you're not watching yourself. So like, to me, I go, what's the point in it? Like in learning if you don't want to learn from the one person who you're the closest to, which is yourself, you know. And to me that's and sometimes I'll watch something and I'll go, wow, I entertained me. That's kind of like a weird, I don't know, it's an interesting concept, but especially like in comedies, like I know I'm a funny guy, but like I'll watch something and I'll be like, that was funny. That actually kind of made me laugh as an outsider of watching myself. I was like, I got to enjoy that. So to me, I go that like I get to enjoy it twice. You know what I mean? So but yeah, I love watching myself because there's times where again, we've made a movie that took 5 to 10 years to come out, and I go, man, I've grown. Like I go, I would have loved for this movie to get shown then, because sometimes people will watch this and they'll be like, I thought Davis was a better actor. You know what I mean? And in my head, I'm like, hey, 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 I am. Like, I've grown, obviously, but like, but that is an interesting thing to see, to go like, yeah, I've watched these movies, even if they were made, a few months ago or a year ago, and you watch something and you get to go, oh, okay, that was a choice I made then. I wonder what choice I would have made now. You know what I mean? Or how would I have like made that more interesting? Or what would I have changed my objective? Like, or I think next time I'll say a line differently. And you know what? Next time, instead of just saying the line, I think I'm going to try it a few different ways. So it's like when I watch myself, I can a watch it as entertainment, but I can also learn from what I've done. And I feel like if you're not willing to do that, then why even do it? You're not willing to learn.
It's so funny. Which I'm interviewing Dan Fecht, Rick Daniels. I think he was in Below the Fold as well. I'm interviewing him on Friday
Nice.
on the show, and he's one of my buddies. I really like the guy.
Hmm.
But he and I both have talked about it. We both enjoy watching what we've done.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching it, and I get a kick out of it when I'm mad at somebody and I'm not really mad at the person. Or
Mhm.
if I'm happy or crying, I'm not really sad. So I watch it, it makes me laugh if it's convincing.
Yeah.
Like I love it. And
Yeah.
I've met so many people that have said, like, there's a film at a film festival, and they're like, oh, I can't go. And I'm like, you're in it. And they're like, I just can't watch myself. I don't want to go. And I don't know. I just can't. And I'm thinking, I want to go see it. By the way, I saw you in a short film. I was in one of these things where they show like 20 films. I've been to a few of those where there was a cat. And I do not remember what it was.
Oh, that was the one night stand.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It was really funny because the cat.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
that
I
was
don't
a
remember
wonderful
if,
one.
if I don't remember who won. There were like three or four out of the 20 or 22 that were
Mhm.
so good that any of them deserved first place.
Yeah.
Yours was one of those. I don't
Thank
think it got first place, but it deserved it.
you.
Just like I told Thomas Smith, I thought his was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
I
some of
get
them deserved.
very I get really competitive with competitions and they don't bring out the best side of me, honestly, and so I've kind of stopped doing them. I think it's sometimes hard. I love that I can make a movie in a short time. That's my favorite part. Usually I have a blast making it, but then when it gets to the competition part, I just don't like that's the part I go, man, we really become a little ugly in those situations and instead of becoming collaborative and like we all kind of shit on each other. And I just got sick of it. I got sick of that. And I got sick of people shitting on me. And I was like, I'm not doing these anymore. And so, like, the one night stand actually was the first competition I had been a part of in a long time. And the way I looked at it was like, hey, I've got a few hours to go make something fun. So let's do it. But I really, when it came to the competition part, I was like, I don't care. I don't care.
Well, there were really, honestly, there were like the one that won was wonderful. I remember that.
Hmm.
But I really thought there were like maybe even like five that if any of those five would have won, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah.
Like, because they were really good.
Yeah, and it's kind of incredible to just see what people really do with time, like the time and the resources, and you go, hey, like you don't need a red camera to make something look fun and good, you know what I mean? As long as you have a few fun and good things in it. I think it was like, I can't remember who said it, but they were like, anyone will forgive like bad cinematography and bad lighting, but you can't forgive bad sound and bad acting. And
That's
I was
funny.
like, that's kind of true. I was like,
Hey, the
maybe.
bad lighting, I actually kind of agree with that because I've watched things where I've thought I can't even see it, but I keep watching it and then eventually it clears up or has a better.
Right. And we're so sensitive to sounds, and I think that's why, like, we just notice things, and anything that takes us out of something is going to be not a great thing. But, like, acting, it's like it either has to be so bad that it's great, or it has to be great. And you can't watch like mid ground acting. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, I won't recommend any of my stuff then. Um,
I doubt that. I doubt that.
Hey, what are
Uh,
some words of wisdom for you? Parting words of wisdom.
Parting words of wisdom.
You said you
I'd
weren't going to ask me
say,
any hard questions. Now what are
yeah,
you
yeah, I
doing?
know, I know. No, no. I think to me, if it's not going to bring you joy, don't do it. anything. You know what I mean? And some people have stories to tell that are very not joyful. You know what I mean? They're obviously very hard. But at the end of the day, if the point of making something isn't going to bring you joy or influence you in a positive direction, you don't need to do it.
I like it. That's why you stopped doing competitions then. Stopped bringing you joy.
Bring me joy.
Well,
Now, it doesn't mean it can't at some point. It just doesn't
well,
now.
here, I'm going to make it more personal. I'm going to ask you your advice. Like, I am someone who I would love to do more than what I do.
Hmm.
And when I say 60 projects, it truly, some of them are one day. You
Yeah.
saw something I was on. I was an extra, like was the only time I'm an extra this year, but like I'm talking about, like, it's every single thing I've done. The competition thing that's 10 hours, like all of those things put together. I would love to do this full time, but I can't afford to. What advice would you give me?
Like, love to act.
Yeah, I would love to act full time.
I think with something like that is we would all love to do what we love full time. But I think we always have to look at the logic and the realism of a situation. And you go, it might not be the time or place, and sometimes you're not ready for it, and sometimes it's not ready for you. And I think with that, you have to do it when you can.
Okay, that's good advice. Good advice, young man. All right. Anything else to add?
Um, no, I mean, this has been a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate you bringing me on this and stuff. And again, I told you I kind of have trouble talking about myself because I like to tangent a lot. I'm
That's
kind
absolutely
of,
wonderful in this setting. This is
but yeah.
wonderful. I don't have to pull anything out. You did a great job.
I think along with I was going to touch on this a little bit, but I think, people don't like to watch themselves because they have anxiety and they get embarrassed, and I think that's actually the biggest reason. I don't think it's that they don't want to watch the work they've done. I don't think they're not proud of it. I don't know that they're ready to be criticized or critiqued, and I think we're all our biggest critics. And sometimes critiquing yourself is a hard thing to do, and I think people don't always aren't always ready for that. But I think I would always argue that you can't learn if you don't. So
I like it. Yeah, I mean that's so you tape yourself so you can watch it,
yeah,
so you can see what you need to improve on. And I guess some people are doing that watching a feature.
right. Entertain yourself, whether it's good or bad.
Hey, thank you, buddy. I truly appreciate you being here.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
All right.
it.
See ya.